Paraworld by Swedish player 97, read by Pommel Knight. What do you get when a supervillain threatens to destroy Paris with a nuclear device, or a meteor is careening towards Earth, or an ancient monster has awakened from the ocean floor and marches towards Tokyo? Bureaucracy! During the First and Second World Wars, superhumans fought for their respective sides with cataclysmic results. An estimated 75% of the entire superhuman population was wiped out in the First World War, and nearly 60% in the Second World War. The United Nations realized superhumans were far too destructive to be allowed to fight in conventional wars, and looking back at the League of Nations' attempt to create a multinational team during the interwar period, they realized they needed something foolproof. So they created the Superhuman Council, a principal organ of the United Nations. The idea was that rather than take away national superteams to prevent conflict, they would cooperate. Instead of fighting ideologies, they would focus their efforts on a global scale, coordinating and assisting each other in the face of world-ending threats and enemies. While the politics of basic humanity remained unchanged, the superhumans looked above that to the security of the species as a whole. Initially, the idea was met with skepticism. After all, the Aces Six was an attempt to unite the major powers pre-World War II into one team, and it ended in disaster. However, after mediating between Soviet and American superhumans to prevent them from fighting in the Korean War, the idea became more appealing. The first iteration consisted of only 3 teams and 18 members: the United States, Champions of America, the Soviet Union's Red Legion, and France's L'Incroyable. At the time, the British Empire was facing major backlash after one of its principal superhumans, Major Victory, turned traitor and assisted in India's independence, and the Royal Super Service was effectively disavowed. But over time, more super teams and superhumans became members, and an effective council was formed. They successfully prevented superhuman conflict in Vietnam, Palestine, Sri Lanka, and many other conflicts. Their greatest achievement was, perhaps, their coordinated defense and destruction of the gates of Persepolis in 1983, when the armies of the underworld invaded. The Council, as of 1985, has 64 members from 10 super teams, with 6 unaffiliated observers and 2 non-superhuman representatives. The Council is divided into blocks to aid cooperation on regional scales. The Western Bloc is responsible for NATO and their allies, the Latin Bloc for South America, the Asian Bloc for Asia, and Communist Bloc for Warsaw Pact and their allies. Every 4 years, members are elected onto the Oversight Board, which oversees the Council and votes the final say in important matters. They, in turn, elect a chairman that speaks for the Council as a whole to the other organs of the UN. So far, the Council has succeeded in preventing war between superteams, but, as of late, controversy has struck. The Reagan administration has put great pressure on the Soviet Union, including demanding they reduce the size of the Red Legion. The greater number of private superteams, such as the corporate-sponsored Guardians of Humanity and religious Holy Circle, has stirred discussion whether they should be part of the Council or forcibly disbanded. China has rescinded their recognition of the Council since they granted membership to Kaleidoscope, a Tibetan mystical society, instead of China's own Da-Jin-Shi. Only time will tell if the Council succeeds in keeping peace between superhumans, or if another cataclysmic war is inevitable.